Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 as always, and today we are back with a brand new season of league racing. This is BRS, the British Racing Series, a league that I play on Xbox. I live stream this every Saturday night at 7:30 UK time. And this is round one of the brand new season. Many familiar faces, but many new ones as well. This season's going to be incredibly competitive, especially from the people of the likes of ET, Rusty and Levy, among many others. It's going to be a very, very tough championship. And yeah, we're starting off here at Silverstone. In the Haas, the cars were randomly selected, so I didn't get a choice in this. Otherwise, from winning the championship the season before, I probably would have gone maybe Mercedes or McLaren. I quite like driving those cars, or maybe the AlphaTauri. But we've been thrown in the Haas, and we just have to make the most of it. So, coming into this race, I wasn't the most confident I've ever been. I really like Silverstone. Definitely one of my favourite tracks. That's definitely no secret. But I've always seemed to not really take too many wins here. I've had a lot of second places, a lot of podiums, but it's very rare that it always clicks for me. And at this stage, getting in my racing driver excuses in nice and early. I've been switching between platforms quite a lot, and I did a video on why PlayStation is probably my favourite platform. Xbox is very, very different in terms of the feeling, mainly because of this wheel delay that most people don't play between different platforms, but if you did, then it's very, very noticeable. So I was really struggling to get back within the rhythm of Xbox, and you can see
I keep locking up, man.
Corners such as this, I just was not really getting into the rhythm as much as I like. So I wasn't coming into this with a high amount of confidence. I did focus quite a lot on the race pace. I spent quite a bit of time practicing this race, more than I usually would, because I just feel I needed to get used to the Xbox again. As we managed to get through Q1 quite nicely. See through Q2, we were on the medium tyres, and Rusty has gone for the mediums as well, but he's not going to have enough time to get back round into the pits and go out again. So with this, I actually decided to put on the softs. I was planning to go on the softs anyway. I did quite a good lap on the medium tyres, but if a safety car comes out early and you're on mediums, then you're pretty much screwed for the end of the race. So we decided to go out in the softs, also knowing that Rusty, who I think is going to be one of our main rivals in this championship, he has no choice but to start on the medium. So we come and complete this lap, 26.4, which puts us in top 3. Let's see what the final stands are of Q2, and Rusty has been knocked out by 0.0 0.003 of a second.
Position to start, very nice. Let's get it. Thank you, Reddit.
So I was quite happy that he got knocked out, and he's going to have to. Well, he could start on any tyre he wanted, but he's going to be a little bit further back on the grid. So I saw this as a good opportunity now.
Yes!
As we put ourselves on provisional pole.
Nice.
Best time I did in practice was a 26.0. But I don't know. Just in this session itself, it wasn't nerves or anything. I just wasn't driving my best. You have those days where you just things don't click together, and over a lap I just wasn't feeling this confidence. So this is my final lap. We're currently P2 in Q3 right now. Alpha Nemesis is on pole, but Levy and Stonks, I think those are probably the two main threats. Incredibly fast drivers. So going through into here, not too bad. Doesn't really look too bad, but as I said many times in the past, just not overly committed, not throwing everything at it. It's coming into here. Let's see if we get this right. And yeah, it's okay, but again, just losing a bit of time in the entry. We gain it throughout the corner and on the exit. You can see we're barely up on our time. I knew there was quite a bit of time going through into the final chicane, so that's always a reassurance. Going through this old turn 1, I actually almost lost the car here. Through my wheel, I felt the car really stepping out of me, but we're still managing to gain a little bit more time. And then coming through this left was good, but this right, we missed the apex. need to be tighter, and you can see we're losing time on the Delta on the exit, but it's still 2 green sectors with quite a bit of time to find going through into Sash Kane. But coming through the stop right, this is a corner I was also suffering a bit of the confidence. Stonks us to 26.2. We have gained some time, so you can see we're over a 10th up, which is nice. Coming through into here, again, not particularly great, losing a lot of time on the exit, and coming across the line, it's not going to be enough for pole. Only a 26.2. 200ths behind Stonks.
Remember,
and then Levy puts up pole with a low 25.9, so a comfortable pole position. But yeah, GG to him. He is absolutely rapid. Uses no assists as well. Very, very impressive from him. So with like P3 in the grid, which I wasn't too unhappy with, because I always feel my race pace is much better than qualifying. So as long as I get a good start, then I felt I was in a pretty decent position here. So the key is just try and get a good start, not lose any positions, because track position is so important around here. I can't stress it enough. So we have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here. Let's see if we get a good start. So as the lights go out now, we actually get quite a good launch, much better than Stonks. But we've got a McLaren on the inside, so I actually turned really late because I was scared that I was going to spin out this McLaren. Bit of contact, so we're going to try and go around the outside of Stonks. Really trying to get into it, but then he cuts across just a little bit.
What is he doing?
And you're about to hear a bit of frustration now.
This guy won't leave any room whatsoever.
And yeah, it's always a little bit of a different perspective when you're in the car at the time, in the real time, and then you have a little bit of look at it afterwards. I think Stonks didn't really do anything wrong there, if I'm being perfectly honest. Maybe on that turn 4 where he defended it a little bit late, just a little bit. But I think it wasn't really worth me going down the inside. There's always a bit of a risk. But now here, this is the frustrating part. We're losing a lot of time to these cars ahead. He's being very, very defensive on this first lap, where each driver has their own mentality and approach. For me, personally, with 25 laps to go, the main thing I want to focus on is not losing time to the car ahead. So if I feel a car's going to have an easy overtake of me, then I normally just let them go. But yeah, easy to say that when I'm in this position where I want to be making up positions, so I can definitely understand from his perspective. But I felt like he's lost the DRS to Dizzy. He's out of the DRS zone already, and Levy has he's gone 2 seconds faster on this first lap, so he's already out of the DRS zone from the second place man, and he is extremely fast. So we can't afford for him to get out of the DRS range. So I really wanted to win this race. I love Silverstone so much, so I was very, very keen. But you could see already, E.T. Rusty, he decided to start on softs instead of mediums because he started P11, so he had a free tyre choice. You're about to hear next lap that at this stage of my mind, wasn't very composed. I was a little bit frustrated about the first few corners, when in reality it was just tough. So you can see again, I'm trying to get past Stonks, and he's going quite defensive once again, and this is just costing us time massively. You can see the 2 cars ahead are just pretty much gone already, so I'm overusing the ERS. So this is really against my driving principle, but you know, I was maybe a little bit too cautious on that turn 1. I was trying to give room to that McLaren. So again, we're going for it again. Does he go defensive? Not really defensive here. But yeah, this is really not ideal. And I think inside me at this point, the frustration was really building up. It's about to say. I seem to have a difficult time understanding why Rusty on so soft, because I wasn't really thinking particularly clearly.
It's like a glitch.
But I would have thought, no, at my mind at the time, I thought we had to be starting on mediums, but obviously you have a free tyre choice, so this really illustrates I just wasn't really driving composed at this point. Looking back on this, I was just letting the frustration get the better of me a little bit, overusing the ERS here, where I just don't need to be doing it at all. And yeah, it's definitely not the ideal start, as I'm still digesting the fact that he's on soft, and he's on fresh softs as well. So if he can make his way through this traffic, then he's in a pretty good position. But you can see Levy is already checked out. He's already gone. And now Stonks got back within the DRS zone of Dizzy, which is actually not why I wanted him. I really wanted him not to get the DRS, so then I could pass Stonks, and without him having the DRS on the car in front, because as you can see, when you're third man in the DRS train, it's really hard to overtake people. So I really wanted Dizzy to actually stay out of the DRS zone. So pretty much everything is going against the plan at the moment. So I was starting to think of a little bit of a different strategy. Normally I like to go long in these races, but track position is so crucial around here. And I can confirm again as we're getting our first warning there. So just turning a bit early. Now I'm coming under attack from ET Rusty. So really things are not going my way. You can see we're overdriving it a little bit. He actually dives down the inside here, which at the time I wasn't allowed going to happen. So yeah, although we might look a little bit calm, I was definitely driving with the red mist in front of me a bit at this stage of the race. But as we skip on to lap 5, Levy, you can see he's halfway down the straight. So just further adding to this frustration. Now these two are batting ahead. This is just costing us a lot of time here. So no one's really wanted to work together. So I can see Dizzy was wanted to get a bit moved. So you know what? I'm actually going to go for the undercut. I'm actually going to do something quite bold. And normally I never ever do this, but I did try it a few times in the practice, and the undercut did work quite well. So I was really keen to at least have track position on Stonks. I raced him quite a lot in open lobbies, and I know he really likes to fight for every position. So I really wanted to make sure I had the track position, and maybe get within the DRS zone of Levy if I pushed very hard. So that was the target. I felt like if I pitted earlier, maybe I would trigger everyone else to pit a little bit early as well, and then I can get the track position. So that was kind of the thought process here at the moment. So this is really being taken out of my comfort zone. This is normally against everything I'd normally do. I normally like to really save the ERS, really like to go long into this race, have the fresher tyres, and then use the race pace as the strength. But now I've decided to really go against that for the first time. So coming across here, we do a purple middle sector. So really pushing hard now with the battery. So on these laps, I'm going to just be pushing as hard as I can. You can see we're already using the entire battery. We increase our speed, fastest lap by 0.3, but these guys in front, especially with Rusty on the fresh off, they're probably not lapping that much slower. So this might be a bit too early, but we will wait and see. Going across the line, we're being very consistent though, so lapping within the same 1/10 of a second once again. But you can see that full deployment is high, but the battery is very low. So we were in single digit figures there. Coming out of the pits, Rusty hasn't really lost that much time. He's lost maybe a couple of attempts or something like that. He was on the fresher soft, and he probably had the DRS to benefit from. So it looks like it's not working at this stage here. I've decided to do something bold because I really desperately wanted to clear these guys and maybe even undercut enough to get within Levy's DRS zone and then just hang on for dear life. But yeah, it hasn't worked so far. Maybe we have undercutted Stonks though, which is something I really wanted to do. So at least if we've done that. So we pitted on the end of lap 5. So Rusty's going to have about 3 lap fresher tyres, and the wear's about 3% a lap on these mediums. So it's going to have about 9 to almost 10% wear, which won't be that much now, but towards the end of the race, that will come much more into play. So there's no point fighting him here. We're already quite low on the battery, and I felt quite confident enough that we could stay within his DRS zone. So you can say he's doing a little bit of a wiggle to say thank you, which is pretty standard when someone lets you pass. So choosing not to fight him, it's just absolutely pointless at this stage. So the goal is to try and hang on, try and use him to drag myself forward in this race, maybe towards Levy. So as these guys coming out of the pit, Stonks and Dizzy, we have actually broken out of the DRS zone. So that is what we wanted. I didn't want Stonks to be in the DRS zone again. And you can see Levy has now pitted, and he is 3.2 seconds ahead. But you can see Rusty is starting to push. we're going to have to probably be using a little bit more battery than we need to stay comfortably within the DRS zone, since he has 3 lap fresher tyres. And plus, even aside from that, he is just absolutely rapid here. So I don't think he's pushing that hard at this stage. You'll be able to see Levy does increase his lead, but for me, it kind of felt like Rusty was just trying to save his ERS and then go for that late charge in the later laps. My goal right here was to try and keep Stonks out of the DRS zone, because he does have about 4 lap fresher tyres than me, so he'll have 12 to 13% more better wear, which is definitely going to be a factor at the end of the race for sure. Not really in the early stages, but as the race goes on, as Levy does a 28.9, we're doing a 29.1. So I still had the feeling that Rusty wasn't pushing particularly hard with the ERS at this stage, so I'm able to save a little bit of the battery now, but how much longer would that persist? So you can see, coming out of corners like this, we have to use a bit of the battery, because we can't afford for him to really get outside 6 or 7 tenths. Otherwise, we run the risk of losing the DRS if we make a mistake, or if he really decides to push with the battery. And as long as this race goes on, the more advantage it will really be in everyone else around me, as Levy does a 28.4. What are we doing? We are doing a 29.0, so that's 6 tenths. See, the gap has gone up to 4 seconds now. But it's at this stage that I felt it was quite obvious that Rusty is now actually starting to maybe break my DRS and maybe make some inroads into Levy, because he is just absolutely rapid. And now Stonks has actually managed to get back within the DRS zone. So again, I really felt that Rusty was just trying to recoup that ERS and now really start to attack, either trying to close down Levy or break out of my DRS zone. So this is one of the laps where it is so important that I hang on to the DRS. So I'm having to use a lot more of the battery than I need. If I had the same lap freshness of tyres, I don't think I'd be needing to use any battery to hang on to him. Just that 1 or 2 tenths difference per lap can really determine how much battery you actually need, and the raw speed as well. So we managed to get into the detection point. Coming off here, we're not going to be using any of the battery. The gap is 8 tenths of a second, but we can't afford to use any of the battery. I need to save it. I can't afford to get down to single digits. Otherwise, I'm going to be at a big risk to Stonks up behind, and I know it's going to be pretty difficult to re-pass him again. But we are starting to close in on Levy very slowly, as quite a few people have now started to pit. Rusty does a 28.3. We do a 28.6, but the most important thing again is that we are hanging in there within the DRS zone, and this is what we need to do. So we need to use any battery amount required to make sure that we are staying within this zone. Can't stress how crucial that is. And you can see again a little bit of a boost, and now I think he isn't pushing as hard as that. So that, I think, was the first challenge from Rusty, to try and break my DRS. Now I think this is the second attempt, as we are closing. So the gap is under 3 seconds now to Levy, as Supply Raptor pits, and now everyone has pitted now. So this is going to be the true perspective of the true net order of this race here. So I think this is attempt number 2 to really try and either get within the DRS zone of Rusty or of Levy, or to try and break it. So we make a little bit of a mistake here. So having to use the battery once again. The gap is 8 tenths of a second, but you can see that's actually increasing. So he was definitely using the battery power here. But luckily we have managed to save over, I think it's over 50% of this exit, this corner. We're having to use much more than we would like here, but we have to stay within this detection point, which is on the exit of this corner before Magnus and Beckers are really having to take the limits off the car. You can see he is definitely pushing once again, but we have made it in the deployment zone. So coming down this straight, do we use any of it coming off this corner as well, using the DRS? And we decide not to use it because our straight line speed is quite good in this car. But still, if you make a mistake in this last sector, it's game over. But we actually did this corner very well during the race. As the race went on, I felt like I was just driving much better than I did at the start of it. Coming off this exit here again, who managed to survive attempt number 2 to break my DRS to live to fight another day. So skipping on again to lap 18, it's quite obvious that he's managing to just recoup the battery again. So he's just trying to do these little bursts to either break me or to get within the DRS zone of Levy. So Rusty at the moment is driving a phenomenal race. I think he has a lap older tyres than Levy. 3 laps fresher than me, but yeah, we're just doing our best here to just hang on. We've got Stonks behind. No threat from behind him, so the top 4 a little bit clear of the rest at the moment. And Stonks is now starting to get a lot closer to me because he has about 4 lap fresher tyres than I have, which is, at this stage of the race, is definitely going to become a bit more of a factor. So it's really, really hard to stay within the DRS zone of Rusty. And again, no luxury. I'm not able to save the battery to have a quick glimpse of what the tyre wear is at this stage. I'm not able really to save as much battery than I would like with the wear of these tyres and the pace that we're doing at the moment. But you can see the gap is now 2 seconds to Levy. So we are being dragged along very, very nicely in this race. And go through here again, just trying to save the battery as much as we can, but Stonks is getting a lot closer. He actually has a 3-second time penalty now, so don't have to worry about so much. But I still felt P2 at this stage of the race, it was potentially on the cards, as GPR Drizzy has retired from this race, and the safety car has now come out here. And well, what do we do here? And you can see we've decided to box there, and the reason why I did that is because I know we're streaming. I know some other drivers are probably watching the stream. I really wanted them to think that I was thinking about boxing, and we do it again, and we've decided to select the soft tyres. I really, really wanted these guys to pit up ahead, and you're about to see what we do here. So coming off this corner, top corner, we make it almost obvious that we're going to go into the pits, and then Levy falls for it, and we're about to hear a little bit of team radio from the Mercedes team.
Yes, it's been manipulated, man.
Oh, I'm just speechless, Lewis. Absolutely speechless.
And we're going to some more team radio.
Mike, this isn't right.
And I feel really, really bad for Levy there. I wanted both of these guys because that would mean I would be winning this race. Yeah, it's that's a tough thing. I think I've done that myself a few times. But moving back to this race, we have an opportunity to maybe win this race. So trying to get the restart properly, but there is going to be no DRS enabled. And honestly, at this stage, it's going to be really difficult to win this race. We have 3 lap older tyres, no DRS available, and with the pace of Rusty as well. I think we could stay within this DRS maybe, but it's going to be another thing passing him. We just don't have the grip in the tyres to be able to do that. So we've got 2 laps of this race left. We've got to be praying for an absolute mistake here. So we're going to give it absolutely everything. Going to be using all of our battery power. So giving it absolutely everything. Trying to stay in the slipstream ever so slightly. But just with the traction he has on those tyres, it's going to take a pretty big mistake from Rusty for us to get very close. And with the slipstream and stuff as well, it's already hard enough to overtake with DRS around here as it is. So we're just going to give it everything. No real threat from behind. We have everyone on mediums behind us. And Levy, with that pit stop from the lead of the race, he went back to P11 or P12. Yeah, with the safety car, you're definitely going to lose a lot less time. But with no DRS enabled and only really 2 racing laps, it was a very, very big risk. And I did that little dummy to the pits to try and maybe force both of them to follow me in. And only one of them fell for that. And yeah, Levy, I definitely feel for him. I think him and Rusty would have arguably very, very much deserved to win this race. And I've done the same thing before, and it is very, very tough. So Rusty sets the fastest lap of a 27.8. We do a 28.1, so we're just giving it everything on the battery. But Levy responds on his fresh softs with a 27.7, and we just got to hope that he makes a mistake, or maybe Rusty actually picks up a penalty. I think he has 2 warnings at this stage, but I don't think we are going to be close enough to apply enough pressure. So if I was him, I'd be staying well away from the racing lines on the outside of the track and the curbs. And Stonks isn't really getting closer to us either. So we're actually delivering quite a good pace now, considering the age of these tyres. But yeah, I tried the bold gamble. Something a little bit different from what I normally did. But no, unless he picks up a penalty or has a massive mistake here, looks like Rusty is going to win this race. And no, he's done a great job from P11 on the grid as well. So coming through into here, we're just going to give it everything we can with the battery. Almost staying within the DRS zone. So he hasn't actually pulled away, nothing you can see, on almost 50% for the front left. So this tyre is very worn at this stage of the race here. And the pace was definitely getting better, but it's not enough at this stage. So for round 1, it's going to be E.T. Rusty who takes the win here.
GG.
And yeah, GG to him. So you're about to hear a bit of commentary from myself.
GG. Yeah, tyres are... Unless I had DRS, it was never going to happen, that. No, GG Rusty. Nice one, man.
And yeah, that is round 1 of BRS. I really hope you enjoyed this. My stream was taken down temporarily. Thank you to FOM for that, for thinking it was some real life footage, but hopefully in the future that doesn't happen. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. Make sure you join my YouTube membership for first priority access to open lobbies and many more benefits as well. Thank you, and we will catch you next week, same time on Saturday, 7:30 PM UK time, for USA for round 2, which has been live streamed on my YouTube channel. Hope you're having a great day, and catch you very soon. Peace.